Oh.
Then when I also took note of the fact that by the rule of the game, before you are confirmed professor, you need a professorial inaugural lecture. And I asked, since FUT was open, apparently they have not been doing that, or maybe they stopped along the way. So I also gave incentive. First, I started by giving 2 million. I say 1 million for the lecturer to be able to finish up whatever. And then I think 1 million to the university or whatever. But I knew that we started that way. And the inaugural lecture was on, and it became competitive. The people were quickly saying, oh, I'm producing my own. And that too, we need as a nation to have a standardized way of saying who is a professor. There used to be a very good requirement before. You need to publish either books, you need to publish international journals and whatever. So, but suddenly I think that demand is no more. And you meet professors now that you'll be wondering whether they have even done their PhD and co. I think we need, again, to be, for both the government and the educational institution, particularly the universities, to come together, both private and public, to come together and set a standard. And NUC should also come up so that we don't produce people just for the sake of production or for the sake of the title, but that a professor must be able to profess that which he has become professor for.
Yeah, thank you.
Chief Servant, sir, let's come to the economic situation of Nigeria. And given the intervention upscale of interventions now towards good governance as regards the economic situation in Nigeria, the federal government, the current government rather, they've come up with various ideas, palliatives, so to say. What is your view on that, sir?
I was one time permanent secretary, Ministry of Planning. And what I discovered then, until today it has not changed, is that our actions seem to be ahead of our planning. In other words, we don't plan a thing properly because we don't have even the ingredients to plan. If you intervene for a particular, you must have the aim and the objective of your intervention. And you must have a mechanism to see whether those goals and objectives are being achieved by the intervention that you have done. Take the so-called humanitarian ministry. They were intervening in too many things that did not show result. They said they were school feeding programs.
School.
And we saw in some states where one egg will be divided into four. You either don't give them the egg
At all.
because there is no need to give somebody something that will not result in anything in the stomach. Now, if you juxtapose that to the current intervention or palliatives, this particular palliatives has a reason of why it is coming. I remember I led a group that we kept saying the fuel subsidy must be removed. Why? Because we discovered if the fuel subsidy was to be for the benefit of the common man, it was not the common man that was enjoying. Apparently, there was a list of people who were enjoying, including those who are supposed to transport the fuel, including those who are in the main thing. And we knew it. In fact, when it was in billions, then now in trillions. So for us, if you will, is that there was never fuel subsidy for the common people. There was fuel subsidy for those who are enjoying the benefit of the so-called, but it was given a beautiful name. I hope that the government will go deeper in understanding what is happening or what happened. And NNPC should be able to explain what happened. Arguments have been made, for example, even the quantum of the fuel that we consume as a nation. Somebody gave an example of Pakistan, which of our population almost, but Pakistan is still ahead of us in terms of population, and was able to say, look, Pakistan is consuming half of what we are claiming to consume. But I'm sure that figure was inflated again because of the benefit that is going to particular people. So the palliative, you see, what some of us are still confused is if there was no real fuel subsidy, then how come the increase when you remove the fuel subsidy, then how come the increase in terms of the pump price? And we know that, I saw a joke in TikTok or somewhere where somebody said there is only one thing that rises and falls in Nigeria, but anything that rises keeps on rising. You know. So the palliatives now, I think, is the one to take care of the price of oil that has become. And the impact of this new price of oil was so quick. The prices of transportation from one place to the other almost doubled. There were fewer vehicles now on the road because people cannot afford to do that. And then when you look at that, and you look at school fees, and you look at, and by law, I think we should be able to say, in terms of free education, that every state must introduce it. If you are incapable of doing that, you must explain to the people and make sure that you give some few incentives so that the children will be in school. And I really believe that Nigeria has reached the age where education must be compulsory. So when you put all this together, you know that people are really suffering. But then where you don't have qualified teachers, you don't have these, some classroom you have over 100 children inside it, and what have you, some places no furniture, no windows, no this and that, then you begin to wonder where we are leading to.
So Chief Servant, let's come back to Niger State, where we all belong to. Of course, we're all aware, there is no news anymore, that for quite some time, Niger State has been bedeviled with the issue of insecurity. And remember, during your tenure, you played major role to curb insecurity, and Niger Lights really had a peaceful era during your term. Now, after you left office, your second term, till now, even though things are getting a little bit better, we still have the issue of insecurity
and youth restiveness.
Restiveness, especially in Minna, the state capital. So what would be your advice? What was the magic?
Well, let me say something. Apart from preparation, your determination. When I held the Quran and I saw that I was going to be the governor of Niger State to all manners of people, it didn't say whether Christians, Muslims, whoever was in Niger, I was his governor. And I had to administer everything equally. And I knew that in our constitution and all over the world, security is the first item in governance. Without it, no matter what you do, you are wasting your time. In terms of economic development, nobody will come to your environment that is insecure. So in other words, you can make your noise as a governor that you are going to Paris, you are going to get investors. Before you leave his office, he has already touched his either Google or whatever to see the condition in Nigeria. So he knows you are wasting your time, you know. For me, I took it as first priority. We must have a secure environment before anything could happen. And I was going from one local government to the other. In fact, sometimes I would travel to a local government to sleep there so as to create more confidence for the people.
Oh, wow.
You know, so that people understand that that is what a government or a governor should do. And I wasn't, even if you give me a rumor of insecurity, I will react. I will take an action. Even if, let's say, a security organization wants some money and they want to lie about it, I will give the money, because I don't want a situation where many of the security agencies, they also have their people at the local level. So if they tell you something is going to happen, say in Maitumbi, and you refuse to do anything, they have people to create that thing.
Yeah.
So you better handle them. And then I also had the principle that every officer, every federal officer sent to Niger State, he has been sent to help us. Therefore, it's my responsibility to own him up, to make him feel that he was also a Nigerite, so that we get the best result from him. In other words, when you come to differentiate, because when I came in 2007, I found school fees being paid, and there was even the difference whether you are from Niger State or not from Niger State. How can you employ a person, for example, you employ a Yoruba or Igbo, and then you regard that person as a non-indigen? Then why the employment? And then, or the so-called non-indigen on contract. How can anybody that you have already shown him the difference? One, he is not indigent. Two, he is on contract. How can he give you the best?
No.
But when you own him up and he realizes that there is no difference between him and those, after all, by the time you go back to history, all of us moved from one place to the other. All of us.
That's true.
You know. So I also had that at the back of my mind. In terms of the youth restiveness, particularly the ones we call Endaba,
Yes.
what I did the first time, it happened. Maybe because I come from the town, so I could maybe take that kind of decision. When they did it, I made sure we went all to the houses, arrested the boys and their parents, and put them in prison. Let the father look at his child to know that the child was the cause for bringing him to the prison that day. And believe me, up to the time I left, it never happened again. So, but when a government or a governor encourages such an action, then it gives some people the license to be doing it or to be noticed. We used to have only two groups in Minna, the Angwandaji and Lima, but now I understand virtually every ward
Everywhere.
has its own group.
Yes.
And the only thing to do is to be tough on them. Many people would come and say, "Oh, don't move so area. Those boys are there." How can we allow our own children to blackmail us into inaction? So every governor, every leader must understand that his first job is securing the lives and property of his people. All other social welfare, education, whatever comes second.
Yeah.
But secure the lives of the people.
True.
When you remember the Mokwa episode,
Yes.
Yeah.
where again I read the file, and people who came, I think sometime 1991 or thereabout, and just about nine of them went to a village head or Miangwa and asked him to allow them to, they want to do their religion as well as farming. By 2007, there were over 7,000.
That's true.
And they had constituted themselves into a republic with their own laws and what they were doing. And I was reading. every governor tried to do something. But as they arrest them, send them to Abuja, they were coming back stronger. So which means there were either government institutions or individuals that were either using them or kept them there to be used for other means. Because in governance there are many things that you come across that you'll be surprised that human beings can conceive such a thing. So when I discovered, and they were robbing people, they were stealing people's wives, because that's how they were running the place. And I discovered also that immigration officers that were sent there to investigate became members because of the easy life and easy money and women that were beaucoup in the place. So I said, no, we must do something. And when I took the population, I discovered that non-Nigerians were over 65 to 70%. So which means anybody that is a non-Nigerian will find it easy to slaughter you.
Sure.
But probably a Nigerian, when you look at one another, may find it difficult to do that. You know. So I said, no, everybody must go back to where he came from. And I as then chairman of Northern Governors Forum, I informed my members, then the governors then, that look, we have done this and we discovered that virtually every state in the north has a member in the place. I'm sending them back to you, but please don't let them congregate in one place.
Yeah.
Because they can easily again
form
this thing. And we paid them compensation, including whatever they planted that was just 1 week old and co. And there was a child that was born that very day they were moving. We also paid him compensation for being born that day, so that he will have some history too, you know. And they left. I don't know what happened in Nasarawa. I think they allowed them to congregate, because there was a time when they were almost causing problems
there
in Nasarawa state, and a lot of people were really, a lot of people suffered. So security, the first thing. All other things can follow.
Yeah.
But any government, any governor must prioritize his actions.
That's true.
Don't become jack of all trades.
Must.
Pick what you consider are the most important, so that you can also assess yourself anytime.
Yeah.
When I was a civil servant, anytime I went home from the office, as I was removing my clothes, I would be assessing the activities of the day. Where did I do well? Where did I go wrong? What corrections do I need to do? And even when I became governor, it became a routine.
Oh, wow.
And time to time, I will provoke people so that they can say their mind.
Yeah.
But by the time they say their mind, you know that that is the actual thing. But when you formal meeting, you don't hear most of the things. People look at your face. If you are smiling, they add to your smile. If you are frowning, they don't even talk. So you need to go out provoking people. There was a time when I was going around, anytime I was going around, and I discovered in Minna that people were not greeting me, I would stop. I said, what did I do? Did I do anything wrong? Or did you want something that I didn't do? Because if you greeted me yesterday, why are you not greeting me today? You know, these are things. And you become public property. You don't have privacy of your own to say, oh, I'm tired, oh, I can't see anybody. That's why I'm always annoyed with my people when they say, oh, he said he cannot see anybody. If you are in public service, how can you say you cannot see anybody? If you have reason not to be able to see somebody, you should create a reason. And I have some of them who find it so easy. Oh, ha! Why am I in public service if I don't want to see people, you know? So, like you ask, the priority is security.
Yeah.
Now, what is happening in Niger State, I think, is the inaction of the government of that time. Because don't expect that the federal government will do something. Everything had been given to you. You have the police, a police commissioner. You had the state services, you have the director of state service. You have the civil defense. You have even the road traffic, road safety. You have in Niger State, the military formations are many.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you call for a security meeting, they will all come. Anytime they come and we have an issue, I will tell them, go and write your requirements. Each one of them will write his requirement. I will look at it and see where repetitions or where the police want to do a military work, and then find a way to give them something to do.
But Chief Servant, sir, would you say at that time a lot of people claim there was a security vote, and the government...
Tomorrow there is security vote.
So the current government is silent on it.
Yes, security vote is not like somebody is giving you money. Is that you budget for some fund as you are doing normal budget. But security vote will also depend on the security threats that you are going to face. Because you may say, for this year, I allocate 500 million naira for security vote. But what you may face may require 1,000 million naira. So, it's not that you have security vote being sent from Abuja to you. It's from your budget.
Yeah.
From your allocation, from your internally generated revenue.
Okay.
It's not a money that is there. Now, I think why the misunderstanding is that many people spend a lot of money and call it security vote. Now, let's ask ourselves, what is wrong with making a donation to churches and the mosques, and you ask them to pray for the state? Because that's part of the security. I think people need to talk about it. I think there is this misunderstanding as if security vote is certain amount of money that is there and people are misusing it. No, it's amount of money that you have budgeted. You may budget, like I said, 500 million. Maybe for that year, the security threat may only require 200 million. But most importantly, for your security is not even the money, it's owning up all the agencies that will help you secure the lives and property of the people.
All right, Your Excellency, sir, as a way of wrapping up, away from security issues, and let us talk about, as a way of wrapping up, what do you see as a father and a stakeholder in Niger State? What is the future? What's the future of our young politicians who are coming up? And of course, backing it up with the not too young to run bill. So, Chief Servant, sir, the younger ones, I know that you're a mentor. You've mentored a lot of people. We know them. Some of them have even grown big, and we can actually attest to that. But we see that fading out in recent times, and the bill is just there. But what is the future of younger politicians? Because, as we say, they are the leaders of tomorrow.
Tomorrow that is yet to come.
There is the difference between ambition and reality. When people talk of youth and you hear them making noise, oh, the youth must be this, the youth must be that. Comparing the youth of Nigeria with probably the youth in Europe and the youth in America. I remember when, is it Austria that had a 29-year-old as prime minister, and I think other places where they had this young woman as prime minister, and that in Canada you had Trudeau as a young man as also prime minister. We must understand the difference in terms of growth, in terms of exposure, in terms of mentoring. A youth there, by the time you are 18 years, you have left home.
That's true.
You are assumed to be independent. Even money, you borrow money from your parents.